Well, I mean, the analogy I'd give is that it's almost like the government has raised the speed limit on the motorway to 100 and then said, oh, yeah, but drive at 70. So there's a gap and there's a sort of inconsistency between what the government's allowing us to do and what the government's telling us to do, which I think just serves to confuse people. And the one thing you need in a time like this is absolute clarity, and this doesn't provide that. I mean, to go back to Daniel's question about why the Prime Minister is doing that, my rather cynical answer, I think, is we have a Prime Minister who's quite fond of having his cake and eating it, and this is an example of that. So on the one hand, he's the Prime Minister who let us have Christmas. On the other hand, he's the Prime Minister who's warning us not to take full advantage of the new opening. He wants to, it's almost like playing both sides, and I think that's dangerous. But can I just come back to some of the things that Lionel's said briefly? I mean, firstly, we have got evidence the lockdown works. I mean, the week of the 21st to 27th of November was the first week when COVID-related deaths fell since September, and that was at the end of lockdown. Sweden provides us with another example. I mean, Sweden has done the worst out of the Nordics in terms of both deaths and GDPs. And I would have more sympathy, I think, with Lionel's argument if it weren't for the fact that we now have a vaccine. So this isn't never ending. There is an end in sight. And actually, you know, Christmas without a vaccine in sight, the arguments will be very, very different. Christmas with a vaccine round the corner, where we actually need to vaccinate a relatively small proportion of the population to dramatically reduce the risks of death. I think actually keeping the restrictions in place with a view to getting people vaccinated would be the sensible way.